right, Sports Talker Nation, welcome back once again as we continue our NFL 2015 team by team review. And you boys may want to settle in for this one because today we are going to talk about my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, I have plenty to say. I could go on and on. How much time do you have? But we're going to go over what went right, what went wrong, and what we think happens in the future, or at least needs to happen in the future. So, what went right? Let's start at the very end. They finally fired Chip Kelly. Everyone thought he was going to come in. Everyone nationally still thinks he's going to come in and set the world on fire. And Philadelphia fans don't know what they're talking about. And he's a tremendous coach, just wasn't given the opportunity. Point of fact, nothing in the NFL comes in and changes the league. Yeah, he's innovative enough, that's fine. Teams caught up with him in a matter of 1 year. It took 1 year for teams to realize how to play them. He wears your defense out. He had about 8 plays that he ran. He tried to run a fullback, basically, in DeMarco Murray around the corner with no momentum. It was just a train wreck. So I give Jeff Lurie, our owner, a lot of credit because it would have been easy after having turned the keys of the castle over to him to just kind of let it ride out. But he didn't do that. He realized he had made a huge mistake. Not easy for a guy with that much money and that much ego to do, and said, we have to fix this and let him go. I don't know that Doug Peterson is the right guy, but I do know that Chip Kelly is not. So I'm willing to take the shot. So that was the first thing that went right. What else went right? You can kind of hedge your bets on Sam Bradford, as the Eagles did. We just signed him to a 2-year deal worth $36 million, 26 guaranteed. Not a huge long-term deal, but something that puts him in the echelon of upper middle-level quarterbacks. This year, I think he performed to a middle-level quarterback. Maybe he has more in him, maybe he doesn't. But in this marketplace, I guess they did a nice, safe play signing him for 2 years. So you'll say that partially went right. What else went right offensively? Zach Ertz, when healthy, although he's never healthy, showed exactly what he was. He can catch the ball. He can't block at all. The last thing that went right, I'll say Jordan Matthews, although if you watch the Eagles play, he had more drops than anyone in football. I don't care what the numbers bear out and say. He dropped the ball constantly, and I don't understand why. He's a very good receiver. He has big hands. He has enough speed. He catches the ball in the red zone. I think he's going to be very good moving forward, but he dropped the ball a ton. That said, there were games where he absolutely carried us offensively. What else went right? And this won't be borne out by the numbers, but this is the difference between watching games and just seeing the numbers. The defense actually performed pretty well for much of the year. What happened that why the numbers will look so skewed is by the end of the year, they're just exhausted. Playing that rinky-dink Chip Kelly offense, I saw a stat that said over the course of the year, they actually played the equivalent of 2 additional games to other defenses. You can't expect your guys to stay fresh in those situations. So over time, the second half of the year, they just wore out. They were giving up 30, 35 points, whereas in the beginning of the year, they were much stronger than that. So I think the defense, Malcolm Jenkins had a tremendous year. I was really happy to see that. So let's say he went right. I also think that our pass rushing linebackers did an okay job, given that we were playing. And Fletcher Cox is an absolute animal. Guys, if you haven't watched football and you don't watch the interior defensive line, Fletcher Cox is a beast. He is going to get a monster contract, and he deserves every penny of it. What went wrong? Again, how much time do we have? I don't want to be accused of Negadelphia and hating on everything the Eagles do, because I'm actually not like that. But there was a lot that went wrong. The offensive scheme was an absolute disaster. The need to try to continue to have pace at all times, disaster. Just doesn't work, and it was proven not to work. So offensively, just a shambles across the board. Secondarily, we lost our kicker in the beginning of the year who was hurt. First, he missed a couple kicks, and then he acknowledged he was hurt. So these guys are just so fluky. Last year, he was rookie of the year, and this year, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a Jeep, and then he leaves hurt. So tough to have. Defensively, our huge defensive signing that I, at the time, this is not hindsight, said what a terrible decision it was to sign the cornerback from Seattle, who wasn't the man in Seattle. He was the backup or the 4th corner in Seattle when we signed Byron Maxwell. He can't, first of all, he can't play this system or the system that was in place last year. He may do better under our new coach this year. But he's just not a man-to-man cover guy. He's not a number 1 corner, and it showed. Also, on the defensive line, we needed to find more time for Vinny Curry. I think that's going to happen. I think from a linebacker perspective, D'Amico Ryans, everybody loves him. Everybody loves his heart. Everybody loves his style. He's a great leader. He's done. He's shot. So that didn't go well. So it cost us a lot of points over the course of the year. Where are we headed for next year? Well, it's a whole new world, right? So Howie Roseman has risen from the ashes like the phoenix and has taken over the head off front office again. Thankfully, I can't believe that I'm so happy to have Howie Roseman. It's only because I didn't want Chip Kelly. So he is back making decisions. He's made some excellent decisions thus far, I will tell you. I think that he did the right thing in signing Vinny Curry to that long-term extension. We're going to move to a 4-3. Jim Schwartz, as long as we don't make him the next head coach, will make me unbelievably sad because he's not a head coach. He's a tremendous defensive coordinator. He will turn this defense into an aggressive, pass rushing, get after the quarterback team that your corners don't have to play 5, 7, 8 seconds of defense on wide receivers. So I think the defense is going to be much better. Again, I have some hope for Bradford. I think in a normal system, DeMarco Murray still has some opportunity. And I think the offensive line can't be worse. There were a lot of injuries. And Jason Kelce, just for some reason, fell off the table. I viewed him as an up-and-coming All-Pro, and he was just terrible last year. So we do have a lot of future coming up. It hurts us that this year in the NFL draft, we actually gave away a number 2 in that trade for Sam Bradford without having a contract in place with him, by the way. That was clearly Chip Kelly getting fleeced and not knowing the NFL. So that lack of a second helps. We do have 2 third-rounders. Maybe we'll parlay 2 of them into a second-rounder, or we'll trade back in the first round. We need offensive line help. We need defensive corner help. But I do think it's a bright future. I don't think it's going to be next year, but I think the future as we move forward has the chance, if Doug Peterson is the right guy, which I'll be honest with you, I don't like how the search was. I don't like how the process happened, but I have no idea. Just like no one has any idea. He hasn't been a coach long enough to know if he's the right guy. But the last time we went down this road, it was Andy Reid, who no one knew anything about, and he did okay. So my Philadelphia Eagles, they offer me some hope for the future. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team anytime soon, but at least they should be exciting. That's it. I'm your host, the G-Man, guys, and I am out.